Okay. So it seems like we've let everyone in. My team, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Principal Cyril. I'm joined tonight by the DMH administration, Ms. Carol Bender.
Hi, everybody.
Ms. Mariette NG. Ms. Rosemary Seitel.
Good evening, everyone.
And we're fortunate enough to have Mr. Armental, the athletic director, with us tonight as well. So we'd like to welcome everyone to the presentation of the reopening plan for Dwight Morrow High School. I shared my screen and you should be able to see the title slide. Again, my name is Principal Cyril, and we will be going over some specific details, policies, protocols, and procedures as it relates to the reopening of the high school. I'd like to publicly thank my team. They've done an amazing job getting the school ready, getting all of the reopening documents out there, and we're really looking forward to a successful opening starting this coming Monday. So with that being said, Ms. Bender, would you mind just going over the helpful links and the information related to it?
Absolutely. And Mr. Cyril, when you get a chance, if you could just unmute Miss NG again.
Sure.
Thank you. So what we did was we put together some helpful links, and you are able to click on them, and it will give you the reopening information. Really, some of it is like a quick snapshot, and then others, we have a lengthy 13-page information paper as well. We also included here, can my child go to school today? And can my child go to school today in Spanish? So 3 questions that you could take a look at to determine if it's appropriate to send your child to school. You can also get the links, the Dwight Morrow High School, if you go on the Englewood Public School District website and then go to our specific site, you click on a link there and go to the school information, and it has a whole tab for hybrid learning, which includes our schedule and all this information as well.
Buenas noches a todos los padres que están con nosotros hoy. Como comentó el director y el departamento de administración, yo soy la señora NG, y esos son algunos enlaces que pueden encontrar en el website o en el sitio web de Dwight Morrow High School. Debajo de información pueden ver la información de reapertura de Dwight Morrow High School. Para saber el guía del aprendizaje híbrido, pueden ir donde dice estudiante y padre, guía híbrido de aprendizaje de Dwight Morrow High School. Se encuentra en inglés y en español. También se encuentran 2 formularios que indican si el estudiante puede ir a clases hoy.
Thank you, Ms. NG. So continuing forward, I apologize. I should have introduced Ms. NG as our Spanish-speaking supervisor, who will be here to help us translate some of the slides so that we can make sure that everybody in our community is aware of the reopening plan. So thank you again, Ms. NG. The next slide is going over something pretty important to us. Obviously, to return back to school, we need to make sure that we're generating a climate and culture and an environment that is inviting and safe for everyone on campus. So to keep that climate, to keep that safe environment, our campus is only going to be available to staff and students. We're not going to be having any visitors come to campus, obviously, because then that starts to jeopardize some of the safety protocols that we put into place. So nonetheless, if you'd still like to meet with an administrator or staff member, you can feel free to do so. We will continue to meet using Zoom and Teams. So I'm just saying, you know, obviously, just for the sake of being very cautious when it comes to exposure, you know, we're not having any visitors on campus. The campus is closed and it is open only to staff and students at this time.
En este momento, nuestro campus de Dwight Morrow High School estará cerrado para las personas de afuera. No dejaremos visitantes en nuestro en nuestro campus, solamente los estudiantes y el personal de nuestras escuelas. Debido al contagio del virus, queremos minimizar las personas que entran a nuestro edificio. Si ustedes quieren tener una cita virtual, podemos usar Teams o Zoom para reunirse con nosotros, con los padres o tutores.
So we'd like to talk a little bit about mitigation strategies. The CDC has identified 5 key mitigation practices that schools should use to slow the spread of coronavirus. The first one is making sure that we are consistently and correctly using our face masks. Masks should be placed over the nose and the mouth at all times. Nobody should be keeping the mask below their nose. It should be on the face to protect the breathing passages coming in and out for an individual, because obviously the rate of transmission for COVID is through your respiratory and your oral capacity. So making sure that everyone is wearing their mask correctly and all the time is obviously going to decrease the chance of the spread of COVID. Social distancing is super important as well. We're going to go over some of the items that we've put into place when it comes to making sure that we keep the appropriate amount of space between ourselves while we're in campus. Hand hygiene is super, super important. We need to make sure that our students are washing their hands, our staff are washing their hands and sanitizing as frequently as possible. And obviously respiratory etiquette with the mask and making sure that when we cough, we do so into our elbows is something else that's super important for limiting the spread of COVID. We have also bought a tremendous amount of cleaning items for the bathrooms, for the campus in general, for classrooms. Every classroom comes with its own dedicated sanitizing station. Teachers have access to disinfecting wipes, and they also have access to dividers in their classrooms that will also help in deterring the spread of COVID. Contact tracing and collaboration with the local health department is something that is also very important. And these are some of the factors that we've used to make sure that we mitigate the spreading of COVID.
La sede se recomienda 5 pasos para evitar que se riegue el contagio de coronavirus. El número 1, estar consistente con el uso correcto de los tapabocas. Por ejemplo, que los tapabocas estén cubiertos en la nariz y la boca durante las clases y durante los tiempos no de clases. Por ejemplo, en el almuerzo. También tener distancia social cuando sea posible. Un buen mantenimiento de higiene, de lavarse las manos y de respirar. También vamos a desinfectar y limpiar las aulas y todo el edificio. Y en colaboración con el Departamento de Salud va a haber los pasos de cómo, si hay un proceso de coronavirus en nuestra escuela, cómo contactar a esas personas.
Ms. Bender, would you mind taking this slide, please?
Ms. Bender needs to be unmuted.
Yep. Perfect, thank you. I just trying to be just aware, and I forgot and I hit the mute button, so sorry about that. So maintaining social distancing whenever possible. So we have, this is actually the hallway in our building. We have put out arrows, and there's also circles that represent 6 feet apart. The classroom, you can see that the classroom is set up with shields, and also you can see that there is 3 feet distancing in the classroom. When it comes to the gymnasium, we have created some one-way areas, so you will see that going into the gymnasium through the main doors through the old gym, that is a one-way, and then we also have an exit as well. We're really trying to gain your support in terms of the hallways, and we want to be able to support each other to be civically and socially responsible. We are going to, insist that you stay to the right when you are walking in the halls, so that we create that social distancing as well. In the classroom, you will be assigned seats in the classroom by your teachers, and that the purpose of that really is for contact tracing. Thank you.
El mantenimiento de distancia social cuando sea posible, como comentó la supervisora Ms. Bender, en los pasillos hay unos círculos que dictan los 6 pies de distanciamiento social. También en los pasillos habrá flechas que se encuentran en la imagen de abajo en rojo que dictan los estudiantes deben de caminar hacia la mano derecha o hacia la mano izquierda. La puerta de educación física habrá una entrada del centro de educación física antiguo y habrá otra salida que es el nuevo gimnasio. Los estudiantes tendrán un asiento asignado y tendrán que sentarse en el asiento asignado todos los días. Es muy importante que los estudiantes demuestren el distanciamiento social mientras hacen la transición durante el día. Como ven en la foto del medio demuestra un divisor de cómo los estudiantes van a estar en nuestras clases. Los estudiantes tendrán 3 pies de distancia en las clases.
So talking a little bit about the cleaning and disinfecting that's going to happen on campus. All high impact areas, well, basically heavy use areas, will be cleaned on a daily basis and actually regularly during the day. We want to make sure that any areas where there's a lot of individuals passing in a specific spot is cleaned. We actually use the image on the bottom right is one of the nebulizer sprays that we use. I believe, if Ms. Bennett can correct me, it's called the Victory sprayer, correct, Ms. Bender?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay. So obviously, throughout the day, our maintenance staff is armed with these nebulizers, and they are going around making sure to disinfect these specific areas. Also, as I had mentioned before, there are sanitizing stations and sanitizing wipes and spray in each classroom. Once a student is leaving the class to go to another class period, they're going to be instructed to use a cleaning wipe to wipe on their desk, to wipe on the divider and their chair before they're able to leave. And they're also going to be encouraged to use a hand sanitizer when they enter and leave the classroom. So obviously making sure that our classrooms and our hallways are as sanitary and safe as possible is a community effort. It's happening with our maintenance staff. We're encouraging our staff and our students to be very aware of making sure that when you're in an area that you make sure that you clean it and that we, obviously make sure that we're following all the COVID protocols so that when someone else is entering the area, it's a safe place for them to be. We're only using natural agents to clean the classrooms. A lot of the things that we're using are plant-based and or hydrogen peroxide-based. So there's nothing toxic that we're using. Everything has been selected to make sure that it has a low impact, if not a no impact, on anyone's health. Because obviously we want to make sure that the school is clean and safe. And we don't obviously want to encourage any type of allergic reactions or asthma or any other type of respiratory issues for our students and our staff when they're in the building.
Procedimiento de limpieza y desinfectantes. En las áreas altas de donde transitan todos los estudiantes, por ejemplo, las puertas que tocan, serán limpiadas y desinfectadas frecuentemente. Los estudiantes y los maestros limpiarán los pupitres y materiales que son compartidos después de cada uso. Si ven debajo la herramienta que usará nuestro equipo de limpieza, eso lo usarán para limpiar las puertas, para limpiar las áreas que son transitadas frecuentemente. Son hechas con agentes naturales y no agentes tóxicos. Y fue dado por nuestra escuela, el distrito de las escuelas de Englewood.
So students returning to the building or students who are remaining virtual are going to be placed into cohorts. At this point, we have 4 cohorts. We have cohort A, cohort B, and cohort C. Cohort D is for our students who are in a self-contained classroom, and cohort C are for students who are going to be remaining virtual and or we're learning remotely from home. The students that will be on campus are cohort A and cohort B. Cohort A is in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, with virtual learning happening on Thursday and Friday. Cohort B will be on campus on Thursdays and Fridays, with their virtual learning happening on Mondays and Tuesdays. Cohort C, as I said, will attend school virtually Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then all cohorts will be taking class virtually on Wednesday. The reason for that is Wednesday is a deep cleaning day for the school. That's when the maintenance staff actually puts in a long day to make sure that they're sanitizing and cleaning the school as fast as possible midweek to ensure that we're keeping the best and safest environment for our staff and our students.
Para resumir el aprendizaje en persona, habrán 3 grupos, el grupo A, B y C. El grupo A estará en persona en Dwight Morrow High School los lunes y martes y virtual los jueves y viernes. El grupo B asistirá a las clases virtuales los lunes y martes y estará en persona en nuestra escuela los jueves y viernes. El grupo C asistirá a todas las clases virtuales, el lunes, martes, jueves y viernes. Es muy importante de que entiendan que todos los miércoles son aprendizaje virtual para todos los estudiantes. Esto es debido a que habrá una limpieza hecha en todo el edificio para garantizar que todos los estudiantes estén seguros de nuestra escuela.
Ms. Bender, would you mind explaining this slide?
She needs to be unmuted, Ben.
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
there
Thank
she is.
you.
Mm.
So are you going to go back? Right. Perfect. Thank you. So this kind of shows the difference with the cohorts. We tried to kind of color match it so that if you are in cohort A, you can see the light green is your time. It also shows on the Monday, Tuesday, it shows the in-person for you. And then on the Thursday, Friday, you can see that cohort A is virtual. So we tried to just make it appealing so that you can see what's happening. The teacher's lunch is from 12:30 to 1:30. So students are dismissed at 12:30, and we'll talk about the grab and go a couple slides down the road. Then we do have teachers will continue to have office hours / tutorial from 2 o'clock to 2:47. Dismissal time, student dismissal is at 12:30, and the expectation is that all students will exit the campus. We are changing our hours. So if you see that our period 1 class actually begins at 8:30, each class runs an hour, ending at the 12:30 time slot. The Wednesday, as you see, is really, we took Monday and put it to our Wednesday schedule.
Este horario es para que les den un buen ejemplo visual para los padres y estudiantes en esta reunión. Por ejemplo, si ven el grupo A está en verde los lunes y los martes. Esto es debido a que eso será verde, significa que es aprendizaje en vivo, en persona. Ya los miércoles están en rojo porque todos los estudiantes están virtuales. Los jueves y los viernes están en azul porque los estudiantes tendrán que trabajar en su escuela en casa. El grupo B, por ejemplo, si ve el grupo B, en su horario los jueves y los viernes están en verdes y los lunes y martes están en azul. Como ven en este horario, los horarios están un poco diferentes a lo que empezábamos en el principio del año. La hora de aprendizaje comienza a las 8:30 y termina a las 12:30. Los miércoles el tiempo es diferente. Estamos usando el horario de nuestro lunes, que comienza de 9 de la mañana hasta las 2:30 de la tarde. En los lunes, martes, jueves y viernes, cada periodo dura 1 hora. Los estudiantes tendrán que irse a las 12:30 puntualmente para poder limpiar el edificio bien. Los maestros tendrán su hora de almuerzo de 12:30 a 1:30 y tendrán horas de oficina o tutorías de 2 a 2:47 de la tarde.
So now we'll talk a little bit about in-person hybrid learning. Everybody's going to be following a modified bell schedule while they're attending classes in person. Participating in person learning activities will happen in the classroom. As we had mentioned before, safety protocols will be followed by staff and students. Everyone must be wearing a mask. Everyone must stay at least 6 feet apart when in the hallways. Washing hands often, staying home when you are sick. Desks in classrooms will be distanced by 3 feet, knowing that every student at their desk and at the teachers at their desk will have a divider that is at each of their desks. So the 3 feet can be a safe distance if the divider is up. The CDC does recommend 6 feet, but we're using 3 feet with the dividers in the classrooms. Students will sit in assigned seats in classes during enrichment periods, which would be an auditorium to maintain social distancing. So students who would have lunch periods 4, 5, and 6 in their old schedule. Obviously, we're rolling over the schedule this year, have the periods 1 through 8, and students will still continue to have that 4, 5, and 6 lunch period. Students are not leaving the campus. They're actually going to be taking an enrichment class in the auditorium with some programming done by school counselors, the zone, and other types of programs that the administration would like to offer.
Aprendizaje híbrido, habrá un horario de campana modificado para las clases en persona. Los estudiantes estarán participando en actividades en el aula. Los estudiantes deben de seguir los protocolos de seguridad, como ponerse su tapabocas, estar a 6 pies de distancia, lavarse las manos frecuentemente y quedarse en casa cuando estén enfermos. Los pupitres estarán distanciados por 3 pies y cada pupitre tendrá su divisor. Los estudiantes en clases tendrán sus asientos asignados y durante los periodos de enrichment en el auditorio tendrán que mantener su distancia social.
Ms. Bender, would you mind taking this slide?
Sure. So we put this slide together, just kind of let you know, what do you need to bring for in-person hybrid learning? The first thing is masks are required. You should bring a backup just in case anything happens, if it gets dirty or you lose it or something happens. You need to also bring your charging device, and you also need to bring your, well, let me say that again. You need to bring your device charged and also bring your charging cord. We do recommend bringing a filled water bottle. The water fountains will be closed. There will be bottle filler stations throughout both buildings, the North Building and King Hall. In your backpack, you should have basic school supplies, binder, pen, pencil, headphones for any in-person learning that's happening, so there's no feedback. When it comes to your backpack, remember, you will not have access to any lockers, which means to pack lightly. We also recommend bringing wearing a sweatshirt or a light jacket. So on those days that we can get you outside, whether it's for class and or for physical education class, it's important that you have something just in case it is a little cool out there.
¿Qué deben de llevar los estudiantes a la escuela durante el periodo de aprendizaje en persona? Como hemos comentado, los tapabocas es un requisito que todos los estudiantes deben de tener. Deben de traer otra tapabocas por si acaso se les rompe o se le pierde al estudiante. También traer su computadora cargada y la cuerda que le corresponde. Se les advierte también llevar una botella de agua llena porque las fuentes de aguas estarán cerradas. Las estaciones para llenar las botellas estarán abiertas. Los estudiantes también tendrán que llevar su mochila con artículos como un lápiz, papel, lapicero y audífonos. Nosotros les recomendamos a los estudiantes que lleven con ellos un suéter o una chaqueta para que estén cómodos durante el periodo que estarán afuera, que son varios puntos durante el día de escuela.
So some important information to know is that for students to enter the building, the parent is going to have to complete a daily COVID screening form. The screening form can be found in the parent portal of Genesis, and it needs to be done by 7 a.m. for your child to be able to participate in classes during that specific day. If your form is not done, your child will be placed in a waiting room, and then we will reach out to you to see if you can complete the form so that your child can attend the in-person learning that is happening in that for that day. And the last piece, if you're filling out the form and you know that your child is sick or they're showing any symptoms, please still do the form, but also know that if they're not feeling well, they should stay home. Remember, we're hybrid learning, so just because your child is not able to come into school either Monday or Tuesday for cohort A or Thursday, Friday for cohort B, they can still participate in virtual learning. So obviously we want to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. So if your child is sick, please keep them home, knowing that they can still log into Teams and participate in their classes.
Este es el formulario de salud que todos los padres tendrán que llenar antes de las 7 de la mañana, que se encuentra en Genesis en el portal de los padres. Si el formulario no está llenado, su hijo o hija tendrá que esperar en un cuarto de espera hasta que el formulario esté completado. Si su hijo se siente enfermo, tendrán que quedarse en casa. Por ejemplo, en este ejemplo dice, si el estudiante tiene 2 o más síntomas, deben de quedarse en casa. Es muy importante de que todos los días esté lleno este formulario antes de las 7 de la mañana.
Okay. Ms. Bennett, could you please take this slide?
Absolutely. So arrival, and we are actually going to put together some videos as well so that you can see what the arrival and the dismissal will look like. We are requesting that, students are not dropped off early. They will need to remain outside as long as the weather is nice. We will not be allowing students in the building until 8:20 a.m. Once you do enter the building, you will be asked to head right to your first period class. And while you're on school property, whether it is the hallways, a classroom, or outside, we are going to need you and insist that you wear the mask. Please remember when you are walking through or waiting to enter the building that you do remain socially distanced. Our preference is 6 feet. Just pay attention as you are lining up in the mornings to come in. The North Building, we have the main entrance, and then King Hall, we also have the main entrance there as well. The buses and morning drop-off, that has not changed. Buses will still drop off by the auditorium. They will also pick up over by the auditorium with King Hall. Remember that while you are on the buses, students are required to wear their masks before entering the bus and while they are on the bus. Senior drivers will need to obtain a parking permit from our head of security and will need to fill out some forms for us as well. When we do, when you do come in person to school, we will have those forms for you to fill out.
Llegada a la escuela, todos los estudiantes deben esperar afuera hasta las 8:20 cuando las puertas abren. Si hay el clima como mucha lluvia, los estudiantes estarán en el auditorio. Cuando los estudiantes estén en la propiedad de la escuela, los tapabocas deben de estar puestos a cada momento y no importa si el estudiante esté afuera. Los estudiantes serán requeridos de tener distancia social afuera cuando están esperando afuera del edificio. En la mañana, los buses dejarán los estudiantes al lado del auditorio o en el King Hall. Cuando los estudiantes estén en el bus, también deben de tener sus tapabocas puestos antes de entrar al bus y cuando estén en el bus. Ellos tendrán asientos asignados en el bus y tienen que quedarse en los asientos asignados durante el tiempo completo. Los estudiantes de grado 12 tendrán que obtener un permiso de parqueo de la persona encargada de nuestra seguridad, el señor Harris, y tendrán que estacionar su vehículo en el parqueo que está localizado detrás del gimnasio. Los estudiantes que manejan pueden entrar por el edificio norte y tendrán una área de entrada.
Okay, so talking about dismissal, students will be dismissed at the end of the day by floor. Obviously, this is going to be done to lower the number of individuals that are in the hallways and the stairwells. Dismissal will be done using designated stairwells. Ms. Bender had showed some of the pictures of the building when it came to arrows showing how students should travel in the hallways. And our stairwells also have arrows showing students to stay to the right, to stay to the left, and also stay to the right when they're going up, and stay to the right when they're coming down the stairwell. And also we've designated certain stairwells only for one-way traffic. So again, dismissal will be done by floor, and students will know which stairwells to use when they're leaving the building. Dismissal will be done by announcement to make sure that the administrator has the ability to work with the team to maintain social distancing throughout dismissal. Students are encouraged to leave the building from exit door closest to their class, staff are going to be reminded to encourage their students to do this, obviously because the less time someone is in the building, the less chance for interacting with somebody else and possibly spreading the virus. Students must move directly to their bus or ride at dismissal. We are not going to be having students loitering in the hallways or on campus. The point of getting everyone in and out is to make sure that we provide the best in-person and hybrid learning modalities that we can. At the same time, making sure that we continue to remember that we are in a pandemic, and the sooner we can enter the campus, the more completely and quicker we can clean the campus. Early release seniors, including student athletes, must immediately exit the building after the last class. If there is any questions regarding athletics, as I said, Mr. Armental is here and you can speak to those. Building will close to students promptly at 12:30. There will be no re-entry. So again, we want to make sure that we're doing our part to keep everyone safe. And part of that is making sure that the buildings are clear so they can be cleaned. And we're minimizing, people interacting with each other in the hallways and classrooms. After school clubs, will continue to be virtual, and students will wait for rides outside. If there is inclement weather, obviously we're not going to have your child stand outside in the rain. We will move them to the auditorium, and then pickup can happen right outside of the auditorium. The driveway does curve around there, and obviously when those situations occur, we will have security outside, and they will direct you to the auditorium. And again, once students are in the auditorium, social distancing will be maintained.
La hora de salida. A la hora de salida, los estudiantes al final del día serán despedidos por piso y por escaleras designadas. La hora de salida estará dada por anuncio. Un administrador, una persona, estará haciendo los anuncios por aula. Eso se dará a cabo para mantener el distanciamiento social durante la salida de escuela. Se les recomienda a los estudiantes de salir de nuestro edificio a la puerta que se les quede más cerca durante su último periodo de clase. Los estudiantes tienen que ir directamente al bus o si un padre los recoge, tendrán que ir afuera. Los estudiantes de grado 12, incluyendo los estudiantes atletas, deben después de su última clase, irse inmediatamente de nuestro edificio. Los edificios se cerrarán exactamente a las 12:30 y no se dejará a los estudiantes reentrar al edificio. Los programas después de la escuela continuarán virtualmente. Los estudiantes que esperan por recogidas afuera de la escuela podrán esperar en el auditorio manteniendo distancia social.
Okay. Students visiting the main office. So obviously, we're a very large school, and there's a lot of things that happen, and a lot of information and support is given at the main office. As you can see on the bottom, we've taken some pictures of what the entrance at the bottom of the right of the slide looks like. There are stop signs there with the sign, which I'll explain in a second. If you take a look at the left side, that is the inside of the main office with the barriers placed up and information behind them. So students coming to the main office, those visits will be limited. Any student needing assistance or services from the main office should speak with their teacher or an administrator, and that person, that staff member, will come to the classroom as soon as possible. Again, we don't want a lot of congregating happening in the main office, as it typically does happen in schools, and we want to still make sure that we're able to service our students and their staff in a very timely way. Students may also email if they need any assistance, and some of the secretaries or the administrative assistants, email addresses are here. I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is being recorded for posting, just in case you're not able to get any of this information down, especially the information here for the administrative assistants. So again, this will be posted, and you'll be able to come back to this slide to look for the administrative assistant's contact information if need be.
Y sí, las visitas del estudiante a la oficina principal. Las visitas del estudiante a la oficina principal serán limitadas. Todos los estudiantes que necesiten asistencias o servicios de la oficina principal deberán notificar a su maestro o personal para que uno de nuestros miembros podrán ir al aula si es posible. Los estudiantes también pueden mandar un correo electrónico a las varias secretarias como la señora Ishak, la señora Torres, Ms. Close y la señora Feliz.
Okay, talking a little bit about limited occupancy considerations. Some of these things we've touched on before, but I would still like to bring them up again, obviously, because they're very important. And we're hoping that you can see that some of these points keep being brought up again and again because they are super important. So one thing that Ms. Bender had mentioned before in the presentation is students will not have access to the lockers or their locker rooms. Please make sure that your child is bringing a backpack to school every day, and they're able to pack that backpack with all the necessary items that they will need for the school day. We do have lockers, but obviously trying to maintain social distancing and making sure that individuals are in and out of the hallway as quickly as possible. We're not allowing lockers to be used at this point. Something that was mentioned before by myself and Ms. Bender is students are not permitted to loiter in the hallways. It's going to be great to see some of your friends back in the school building. And we totally understand the excitement that goes with that. It's been over a year, and some of your classmates and friends will be in your cohort. But when it comes to being in school, we need to make sure that you're getting the best in-person education experience that you can get, and also the safest. So students are not going to be permitted to loiter in the hallways. They need to be in the classrooms and getting the instruction that they had signed up for with the cohort. Restrooms are going to be limited to 2 people at a time. Obviously, we want to limit the number of individuals in the bathroom. And obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. And as I said before, visitors are not allowed on campus. The campus is solely for students and staff. Again, parents, guardians can make appointments with staff members, but we will keep those appointments virtually through Teams and Zoom.
Algunas consideraciones, por ejemplo, los estudiantes no tendrán acceso a sus casilleros. Es necesario de que ellos lleven su mochila. Los estudiantes no se permitirán estar en los pasillos. Entendemos que los estudiantes están muy contentos de ver a sus amigos o amigas en la escuela, pero debido a la pandemia y el virus, no dejaremos que los estudiantes se queden en los pasillos. Tendrán que ir directamente a los salones de aula. Los baños se limitarán 2 personas a la vez. Esto es para mantener la distancia social y para tener acceso a que alguien pueda limpiar los baños. Los visitantes no serán permitidos en nuestro edificio y las citas sí se pueden continuar haciendo virtualmente por Teams o Zoom.
Ms. Bender, would you please take the slide?
Sure. So breakfast and lunch. All students are eligible for meals right now at no cost. Meals will be grab and go only. There will be no eating on campus. The full virtual students, the cohort C group, their meal pickup will remain the same. If you are cohort A, and now this is like a lot of information all in one, so it sounds almost a little confusing. This will be posted and we will be there. So on certain days, if somebody's going to do the grab and go, we'll be there as well to give them that information. So cohort A, their Monday grab and go will be a meal for lunch and breakfast. Tuesday will be for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All the meals are prepackaged, they're sealed. If you have any type of a food allergy, we need to be alerted to that so we can make sure that we are giving you exactly the food that is okay for you. And remember, the cohort B, their grab and go is a little bit different. Their Thursday grab and go will be their meal for Thursday. Fridays will be for Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the following week. We will have 2 separate areas for breakfast and lunch, and I believe it's on the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, Angie. Go ahead. You go back to that and I'll come back in on the next one.
Okay. Para los alimentos de desayuno y almuerzo, todos los alumnos son elegibles para las comidas sin costo. Todas las comidas serán dadas en la escuela al final del día. Los estudiantes que están en enseñanza virtual deben de recoger sus alimentos como lo han hecho. Los estudiantes del grupo A, los lunes, después a la hora de despedida, van a recoger su comida de almuerzo y desayuno. Los martes, después del final de la escuela, se le dará los alimentos de desayuno y almuerzo para el martes, miércoles, jueves y viernes. Los estudiantes del grupo B, se le dará los alimentos el jueves en la despedida para almuerzo y desayuno los jueves. El viernes se le dará los alimentos del viernes, lunes, martes y miércoles, desayuno y almuerzo. Todos los alimentos estarán preempacados y sellados. La distribución de alimentos estará disponible para los estudiantes virtual. Para ver la lista de distribución de comidas, por favor visite a nuestra página web de EPSD.
And just to tag on to a comment that Ms. Bender just made, and Ms. Ng, if you could just add this in after I'm done. This information, yes, will be posted on our website, as we said. This has also been emailed, blasted out by email to all the parents and guardians in our community. And also, this has been printed and posted, put in regular post mail and sent out, I believe it was last Thursday and Friday. So this information is available to you through your email. It also will be sent, you should be receiving it early this week, hard copies. And I believe that Ms. Bender has set up a hybrid learning tab on our website, which will also have all this information.
So just to complete the breakfast and the lunch, the vending machines, just want to let you know that the vending machines will not be in operation. So we are not providing any type of snacks. Please, parents and guardians, we're only there for 4 hours. So the expectation is that you will not be dropping off food or drinks at any time. The grab and go lunch will be offered in 2 different places. In King Hall, it will be over by the auditorium, and then in the North Building, it will be outside the main entrance upon dismissal. Students must be in the auditorium during their assigned enrichment period because there will be no lunch in the cafeteria. So again, lunch, the grab and go meals will occur at 12:30 p.m.
Como dijo la señora Bender, no habrá meriendas. La máquina que vende papitas no será, no será disponible para los estudiantes poder comprar jugos o cualquier merienda. Los padres y guardianes no pueden dejar comidas o bebidas para los estudiantes en cualquier momento. El almuerzo que se dará después al final del día de la escuela se dará afuera del auditorio o afuera de la oficina de la entrada principal del edificio norte. Los estudiantes deben de estar en el auditorio durante su periodo de enrichment. No pueden estar en una aula, en la biblioteca, gimnasio o pasillo o espacio de oficina.
So obviously, when we're talking about students returning to school being in the times we are with the pandemic, there are going to be times where students are going to need to see the nurse. Our nurse is Mrs. Manchi. She has put some resources on our website related to COVID, and I would urge you, if you get a moment, to take a look at those. And we have also supplied a lot of that information, again, in our reopening documents that were sent out to you. So students needing to visit the nurse for non-emergency reasons should notify their teacher and report to the nurse when directed to do so. The nurse will assess a student at the door. If the student looks sick and or has symptoms of COVID-19, he/she will go immediately to the isolation room. If it is determined that he/she does not have symptoms of COVID-19, he/she will enter the office and be treated. Students will not be allowed to lie down, use the bathroom, or request sanitary pads, etc. Packets will be given to teachers that include the following items: Band-Aids, gloves, tissues, pads, etc. So the reason for me reading this verbatim is because it is important. We want to make sure that your child is cared for when they're in school. Again, we're also working to make sure that we provide the safest environment for everyone. So reading it word for word is just stressing the importance of the role of Mrs. Manchi, but also letting you know that there are some policies and protocols that go into students when they visit the nurse.
Visitas a la oficina de la enfermera. Nuestra enfermera se llama la señora Miss Manchi. La señora Manchi tiene mucha información en su página web del distrito, información sobre el COVID-19. Debido a la pandemia, los estudiantes que necesiten visitar a la enfermera por una razón que no sea una emergencia, deben de notificar al maestro y reportarse a la enfermera cuando es dirigido. La enfermera hablará con el estudiante en la puerta. Si el estudiante se ve enfermo o tiene síntomas del COVID-19, él o ella inmediatamente tendrá que ir a un cuarto aislado. Ese cuarto aislado es supervisado por una persona de nuestro personal. Si es determinado de que el estudiante no tiene síntomas del COVID-19, el estudiante podrá entrar a la oficina y ser tratado. Los estudiantes no tendrán la habilidad de usar el baño en la oficina de la enfermera o pedir toallas sanitarias. Paquetes serán dados a los maestros que incluyen los siguientes artículos: curas, guantes, pañuelos y toallas sanitarias y otros artículos.
Okay, so we've gotten to the end of our slideshow, and we know that that was a lot of information. We tried our best to condense a lot of the things that we had sent out again by email, by post mail, and also post on our website. We wanted to give you some of the more important information as it related to being back in the building. So obviously, there's a lot of questions that go into what was presented, and we will have an opportunity to take some questions in the chat tonight and give you some answers, hopefully as best as we can. I did want to point out that there are some individuals who are typically we were receiving information requests from. The first one is busing. There are a lot of questions with busing. Typically, students in Englewood and Englewood Cliffs would receive busing by the district. I believe at this point, the district is putting out a bid for the busing, and information will be shared out with those respective students by district administration, most likely Ms. Galletto and Ms. Waldron, about the availability of busing for these students. Students who are coming out of district, the district will have to provide the busing for those students, as the district, Englewood Point Moore High School, is no longer paying for the students to take their bus to our campus. So nonetheless, if you have any questions regarding busing, please reach out to Ms. Heather Waldron, and her email address is here. We're working to make sure that all students have access to a district laptop and Wi-Fi if need be. We are going to be doing some deployments this week. If your child is in need of a laptop, please make sure you reach out to Ms. Isahak at isahak@upsd.org to request an appointment to come pick up a device. And if you do have a device, but you're having issues with it, please also reach out to her. She can put a tech request in to make sure that your tech need is met. Again, Mr. Armental is here. If you have any questions regarding athletics, he can be reached by email. And if you do have questions tonight, he's also here to answer those questions. We do have a lot of supports for students through our school counselors and the zone. We currently have a new director of the zone. His name is Mr. Edmondson. He's a great guy, and he's very excited to meet the students that are coming into the building in the enrichment periods. And he's also very available virtually to all the students and staff on our campus, and that's a huge blessing for us. Again, Mrs. Nancy is our nurse. If you have any questions for her, her email address is here. And again, as I mentioned before, school counselors are here for your child. If you don't know who your child's school counselor is, please log into Genesis and you'll be able to find that information.
Ok, aquí se encuentra, tendrán una oportunidad de preguntar preguntas debido a la reapertura de nuestra escuela. Si tienen alguna pregunta que se refiere a la transportación en el autobús, por favor de contactar a la señora Ms. Waldron al correo electrónico que ven. Si necesitan otra computadora portátil o apoyo de tecnología, por favor de contactar a nuestra secretaria, Ms. Bibi Isahak. El señor Mr. Armental, el director de atletismo, estará aquí también para responder cualquier pregunta que tienen acerca de los deportes, y pueden también escribirle a su correo electrónico. Tenemos un programa de la zona y este año tenemos una nueva persona que será el director de nuestro programa en nuestra escuela, el señor Mr. Edmondson. le pueden mandar un correo electrónico si tienen preguntas de apoyo para las familias. Como les comenté la información anterior, nuestra enfermera es la señora Manchi. Si tiene alguna pregunta sobre si su hijo o hija pueden ir a la escuela o alguna duda, le pueden mandar un correo electrónico. Es muy importante que se comuniquen con los consejeros de sus hijos. Por favor, de revisar al portal de los padres Genesis, que le indica cuál es el consejero de su hijo.
Great. So at this point, we've reached the end of our presentation. We would absolutely like to take some questions if there are any. So if you do have questions, please add them to the chat and we will answer them best as possible. So the first question is, Principal Cyril, my son is concerned about health and safety in returning. Will you talk about that tonight? I think I did touch upon it tonight with my team. Your child's safety and our staff safety is our priority. If you don't feel safe and if you don't feel healthy and supported, you really can't do any learning, right? So we need to make sure that that is met to the best of our possibility. If anything, we're being very, very stringent with what we're doing in the school. We're communicating as best as we can because we want to make sure that we offer your child the most safe and, I guess, engaging learning experience that they can have. So that is a priority to us. Okay. Virtual instruction along with in-person instruction teachers will work. This is brand new. Virtual learning is brand new for us. It's been a year now. And if you recall, we went from a brick and mortar school, which has been, brick and mortar school has been around for a long time, to a virtual school in about 72 hours. And virtual learning is something that's evolving. It is not perfect in any way. And moving in now to a hybrid setting is also something that's new for us. I will let you know that our curriculum and instruction department is doing a lot with providing professional development and resources for our staff to be the best hybrid instructors that they can be. So we're very confident in our preparations to provide students with an engaging and comprehensive learning experience and environment. So yes, it is something that is new for us, but we're working very hard to make sure that we do it as comprehensively and effective as possible. Please go over how the teacher is going to provide instruction to students in person and virtual. So yes, just as I mentioned before, hybrid is going to be happening. Again, our curriculum and instruction department has put together some resources for teachers to use as they start to navigate hybrid learning. We do have instructional coaches in the buildings as well who are well-versed in hybrid learning, and they'll be working with teachers to help them navigate virtual learning and hybrid learning to the best of their ability. Can I explain what the actual teaching will look like? Our virtual students zooming to live classroom and others hybrid. So the instruction will be happening in a hybrid way. There will be students in the classroom and there will be a teacher instructing those students at the same time that teacher is obviously instructing students virtually. So what it will look like is dependent on the style of the teacher. We really don't want to put our staff and our students in a situation where, again, the instruction is not engaging. We're not just trying to put seats and students in a classroom just to say we had them in the classroom. The goal is to bring students back to the classroom to give them a very rich in-person experience. And at the same time, teachers have been trained and will continue to be trained to offer that same rich experience to students who are virtual. So we will be offering virtual learning We'll be offering in-person learning at the same time in a hybrid model for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Wednesday, again, will be virtual for everyone. Again, this is new. Our coaches and our curriculum instruction office is working really hard to make sure that they prepare our staff to navigate hybrid learning as best as possible. And we feel pretty confident that when we start up next week, that we'll be in a good spot for your children. And those are the only questions that have popped up, so I'll give it another few seconds. So one of the questions is, will the teachers stay the same? The schedule that your child has is the same schedule they have virtually. The only thing that will change is on next Monday, when we start hybrid learning, the schedule will change in the sense of what periods meet based on the cohort, but the teachers for your child will not change, no. Are we going to have 2 teachers in every classroom? No, we will not. The only time that we'll have multiple teachers in the classroom if there's a need for a support teacher, for a student who needs services, but no, there will only be 1 teacher in the classroom. Okay, so it seems as if we've answered all the questions in the chat. Again, please feel free to reach out to us. If you do have any questions or concerns, we're here to help. We're here to make you feel supported and heard. And we want to make sure that, you know, if your child is returning to campus, that they feel safe and they feel like they're receiving a quality and engaging learning experience. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to us by email, you can reach out to us by phone, and we'll be happy to assist and give you the information, the best information that we can. Please realize that COVID is in a very evolving situation. Numbers go up, numbers go down, and we're staying as soon as we can to the number of cases that are happening in Bergen County. If we do have to go back to virtual, that is not a school decision. That happens when the county is in the red when it comes to COVID cases, and then that becomes a decision that we don't make, that the government makes, and that all schools that are in the red are going to be shut down. But that is not our hope. We're hoping that we can finish the year strong. We can have a really great rest of the year with the 11, 12 weeks in hybrid learning. Please do remember that COVID is a very evolving situation. Things change at the drop of a hat. We do know that cases are climbing right now, so that's something we keep our eye on. But please, as I said, reach out to us with any questions or concerns that you may have. So yes, the same question is, how is the teacher going to navigate? The teacher is going to navigate by teaching the class in a hybrid setting. So the teacher is going to have their laptop open. They're going to have to be able to navigate going between the laptop and the students in the classroom. Teachers are not going to be able to walk around the classroom. That is not going to be facilitative to maintaining social distancing in the classroom. So it's education that you may typically remember, hopefully, that your teacher didn't teach behind the desk. They were able to walk around and interact with you in the classroom. Unfortunately, we have to go back to a system where we are maintaining social distancing and barriers are placed up because we still want to offer education, but it has to be in a safe way. And because of that, it has to be more structured. So when it comes to hybrid learning, the teacher will be teaching virtually in the same platform as we're using here, virtual instruction, and at the same time engaging the students in the classroom. So that is there's a finesse to that. That is something that is an evolving modality of instruction, and we'll be working with our teachers to develop their own style when it comes to hybrid learning. So to answer the question as to what exactly that is going to look like, I cannot give you that answer. I can give you the answer that social distancing and barriers will be put in place. No one will be allowed to walk around the classroom. Teachers are going to engage students both virtually and in a hybrid setting. We're hopefully bringing in cameras and microphones to allow a little bit more of an engaging experience for everyone. But at this point, that's the best possible answer that I can give. You can make a decision as to what cohort your child would like to be in. And Ms. Bender, if I'm incorrect, if you could please just correct me. Up until this Thursday, they can choose to be in person, or they can choose to be virtual. Is that correct, Ms. Bender?
That is correct, April 15th. They won't be able to choose cohort A or B. They'll be placed in one based on the number of seats available in the classrooms.
Thank you, Ms. Bender. Okay, so with that being said, we've answered the questions in the chat. We thank everybody for joining us tonight. We appreciate you taking the time out to meet with us and learn a little bit more about our reopening plan. Once again, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us. The resources were emailed to you. They were put in the post mail. This session will be posted to our hybrid learning link in our DMHS website. If you go to the website, DMHS, you click on menu, and you can select the link that says hybrid learning, and all of these resources will be here for you there. So with that being said, we want to thank everyone for coming out. We appreciate you supporting us as we reopen the building, and we hope that you have a good night. Thank you.
Good night. Buenas
Bye,
noches.
everyone.
Bye.
Look
Good
forward
night.
to seeing you soon. Take care.
Bye.